Well, it's so good to meet you, Alan. I've been excited for this moment ever since Derek first told me about you. He and I go way, way back to when we were kids, and we would go to the bowling alley to play bubble hockey. One of the finest people I've ever known. So the fact that we have him in common is a great thing right off the bat. How in the world did you get your hands on these tickets? Was this something you did well in advance, or was this closer to game time?
In the preceding May, so we're talking May of 79, in Sports Illustrated, there was a pull-out detachable order form. It was maybe 1 foot by 2 feet. It was massive. It folded like four times to get into the SI size format. And it just had blocks of every event. And you checked the days, the number of tickets. I've gone and gotten my ticket stubs to the other events that I
Oh,
had.
wow.
The three events that we went to, ice hockey was one. We went to ski jumping
Oh, wow.
because there were always epic wipeouts.
Right, right.
And you want to see them. And looking back, if you looked at the price of the ice hockey tickets, they were like $60.
Okay.
But I was a college kid. I went to Syracuse. So logistically, I was about 3.5 hours from Lake Placid.
Okay.
So it worked out logistically. But there was this massive form within Sports Illustrated, and I filled out for ski jumping. I filled out for slalom and giant slalom. We applied for speed skating and both semifinal and final ice hockey games.
Wow.
And we got pretty much everything we asked for. You send in a check. It might have been for $400 or $500, which again was a fortune for a
Absolutely.
college kid in 1979.
Yeah.
And then a couple months later, you get an envelope with your tickets, no internet. You just filled out a form, mailed in a check to Sports Illustrated. It might have been a money order. And that's how I got the tickets.
Wow.
We didn't purchase USA versus Russia tickets. We got semifinal game A, semifinal game B. It
Okay.
could have been Bulgaria, Hungary. It just
Right.
worked out that the first game was the Russian game. And it would seem anticlimactic to go to the second semifinal game, which was Finland Sweden. But my buddy said the Flyers drafted Sweden's goalie. Let's go check him out. And of course, that was Pelle Lindbergh.
Oh, wow.
Ironically, just by chance, the
Oh,
best seats we had were for the Russian game. Row E is fifth seat from the ice.
that's amazing. So you were in section 24, row E. This game was the later game, Sweden and Finland, I'm assuming.
Yep,
And then this is the gold medal game against Finland, correct?
11 a.m. Correct.
Gotcha. Okay. So those are the three games that you went to that final weekend in the medal round. Well, that covers my first question. Now, my next question is, how in the world did you afford it?
I was a college kid. I was resourceful. When I was in college, my parents would send me $100 of spending money on the first of the month. And by the fifth, I was broke.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
then I was then using my wits and my cunning to get by the last 25 days of the month.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I don't know how I did it, but I know my buddy and he went to the University of Michigan. He came in for a few weeks. I actually, at one point, went back from Lake Placid to Syracuse. I might have had a paper to turn in or something. And he was in for a few weeks. He's the second figure you see on the ice with me. We're still buddies to this day.
That was what I was wondering. The fact that he's wearing a Flyers jersey is very intriguing to me. So I wanted to know like what his backstory was.
So he is a high school buddy of mine. I spoke to him today just before you and I started chatting. He and I attended the 1980 Super Bowl between the Eagles and the Raiders in New
Oh.
Orleans.
My parents went to New Orleans for the Super Bowl, and they probably were sitting right near you, bumping into you, and who knew it, you know?
His buddy, Tommy Frankel, was a ball boy for the Eagles.
Oh, wow.
And that's how we got our tickets. And I remember face value was $100. And when I went in '05, also I had a connection to get them at cost. When the Eagles were in Jacksonville against Tom Brady, they were 500 for cost. Now
Wow.
I think lower level seats are probably a couple grand cost. Not
Face
even,
value, and then it gets crazy after that.
yeah, the secondary market is nuts. So my buddy, we've gone to sporting events, World Series games together. So he and I go way back.
But of everything you've done together and everywhere you've gone, I'm guessing that February 22nd, 1980 in Lake Placid, New York was the highlight of all highlights.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Because you don't realize where it's going to lie in history in the moment.
Right, right.
At the end, when the players were exiting the ice, we were right there next to Herb Brooks. There's a new documentary on Netflix called Miracle, The Boys of '80. At the very end, as the players are exiting the ice, I'm right there with my flag in hand, patting one of them on the back. There you go. You see Mike in his Flyers jersey to the left. Now, in the gold medal game, once people saw that nothing was happening to us, we weren't getting tackled, we weren't getting tased, then in the gold medal game, 100 people jumped on the ice.
Right,
Someone
right.
famously put a flag around Jim Craig's shoulders. But for the Russian game, it was just me and my friend Mike. And
Yeah.
that's the shot that was on the front page of probably every newspaper in the United States.
Wow. Now I'm going to pull up the seating chart again because I want to know where and how in the world you got on the ice. So I'm assuming you were probably
So
in this area, but where did you go to get onto the ice?
So believe it or not, 50 years and 50 pounds ago, it was plausible. I went over the plexiglass at the highest point, like not where you could just swing your legs over. I had to like climb up and over because in the corner, the plexiglass is at its highest.
Right,
And
absolutely.
I remember I'm now dangling upside down and my feet were caught on the top of the plexiglass. Like my head is pointing towards the ice and my feet, I'm like upside down and I'm yelling at people to like shove my feet. I was stuck.
Oh my
Obviously,
heavens.
someone pushed me over the edge. I fell down. I landed in a pile of gloves and sticks.
Oh boy.
Now, nowadays, I would have tried to stick a glove under my jacket, something, but I was more innocent back
Yeah.
then. Jim Craig skated up to me and, like a foot from my face, clenched both fists and screamed, "All right!" And, I'm sure the adrenaline was kicking
Yeah.
in, and all I could think was getting up and like doing a little victory lap.
Yeah.
And, the place is screaming USA, USA. I'm almost certain that is the event. Now it's chanted at every international event, Ryder Cup, everything.
Yeah.
But I contend that the USA, USA chant began that day in that arena.
Wow.
Mike Eruzione, in the one picture, he is the last guy who's out of the handshake line and sort of turning to us. He's looking right at us.
Yeah, I can tell. Yeah, look at that. There's his eye line right there. That's amazing.
And a few years ago, a friend of a friend worked for a company. They had him in and he did his show. And then he said, if anybody wants to approach me afterwards and have any follow-up questions, this guy, Kurt, goes up to him and says, a friend of a friend was at the Miracle on Ice and he was the guy on the flag. Do you remember him? And he said, and I quote, he goes, "Yeah, I remember him. Your friend's an idiot. He's lucky he didn't get arrested." That's how I physically got onto the ice. Now, my friend Mike says, and I don't remember this, but he says we tried to follow the players into the dressing room and were stopped by a security guard. Now, the next part I do remember. I asked the security guard, "How do I get off the ice?" And he said, you found a way on, you find a way off. When we
Oh,
made it out onto the streets of Lake Placid, we were like, I don't want to say celebrities, but people were coming up to us like, were you the two guys on the ice?
wow.
Like, we were recognized. I mean, the arena was very, very small. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's 6 to 8,000, maybe somewhere in that area.
And I think you had the kind of look that would have been easy to recognize.
Well, also, I mean, they didn't have to be geniuses. I'm the only guy holding a flag. So,
Right, right. Now, I have a couple questions related to that flag. And first of all, I want to know the origin. Like, where did you get it? Had you brought it
so
from Syracuse? Did you get it in
no,
Lake Placid?
no.
Where did you get your hands on it?
We were in for 2 rounds. And, we went there for one round of events. Then we went back to Syracuse. For round one, Mike brought a friend of his named Paul, who brought a flag with him. When we went back to Syracuse after round one of events, he went back to Michigan. The flag stayed with me and Mike.
Gotcha.
So that's how the flag ended up in my hands.
I see. Now, tell me about the fate of that flag over the years.
So I currently live in the house I grew up in. 22 years ago, I bought it from my mom. So the flag was and had been in a laundry room closet in the house I grew up in, and now the house I live in. So a few years ago, I'm over visiting with Derek and his wife Tracy, which is actually how I met Derek. I was friends with Tracy first, and then I became friends with Derek. Derek said, whatever happened to the flag?
Right.
I said, it's sitting in like my laundry room. It's been there for 42 years. He said, that thing's worth a fortune. I said, you're crazy. Up until the beginning of the journey of selling the flag, if someone had come up to me and said, I'll give you $100 for it, I would have thought I was stealing. So Derek, through work and through connections and phone calls, he finds out the name of this place, Heritage.
Yes.
And in the particular auction that my flag went, August of 22, that's when the record Mickey Mantle went for whatever it was. It was a crazy number, but they were in the same auction.
Wow.
They wrote up this description of the flag that appeared with the item, which I'd like to read to you. The item was called 1980 American Flag from Famous Photograph of Miracle on Ice Handshake Procession. And it goes on, today, of course, you'd be gang tackled the moment you swung your leg over the boards. But in 1980, it was still quite common practice for fans to storm the playing surface to join in the celebration of a particularly noteworthy athletic achievement. With only a single authority figure, they thought my buddy Mike was an authority figure coming to get me. With only a single authority figure making his way towards our consigner, Alan Greenberg, who dashed onto the ice during the post-game handshakes of the Miracle on Ice. The despondent Soviets appear to pay no attention to the gatecrasher, while American team captain Mike Eruzione turns his eyes towards the friendly fan. 42 years after the event, all but universally considered the greatest in American sports history, Mr. Greenberg has decided to part with the flag he flew in the famous photograph. The flag is accompanied by a period newspaper clipping describing Greenberg as a fan who can't contain his jubilation. So that to me was an unbelievable write-up. My buddy said the write-up got all the money on that one. On a complete side tangent, Derek jokingly said to me, you have anything else lying around your house? So I looked down in a box that I moved out of my old business, and right on the top, staring at me, are these season tickets from Kobe Bryant's senior year,
Wow.
which unfortunately the separate schedule had on the back 1995, 1996, but the season tickets themselves, even though it's the same font, the same color ink, the same stock paper, they don't have anything on them other than like men's basketball and like 10 punches numbered 1 through 10 on the bottom, where the old punchers, every game you attended. So Kobe was all the rage.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go there. I graduated Lower Merion in 76. Kobe graduated 96.
Right.
And I remember running up, the sports athletic office was on the 3rd floor. I went up the 3 flights of stairs back when I could still do that. As I opened the door, boom, I'm face to face with Kobe Bryant, just as I was face to face with Jim Craig when I landed on the ice. I just said to him, look, I haven't set foot in this building in 20 years. I'm coming here to buy season tickets. You better fill it up this year. And that's, I remember I went, bought the season tickets, and like most of the stories in my life that end with the lack of follow-up, I never went to one game.
Jeez.
So I still have these season tickets, but I'll probably have them put those items in my coffin with me. I don't think I'm getting rid of them. But back to the story of the flag auction, they set the value at $8,000.
Okay.
The minimum bid they would accept is 25% of that. So no one could walk away and pay $50 for it and walk with it. The minimum, I was either going to get the flag back or get $2,000, which to me was a home run. You know, like I said, I would have taken $100 for this in a heartbeat.
Right.
And the auction is 2 days, but there's a few weeks of pre-auction. I don't understand it, but they put it up, and sure enough, I see a bid of 2,000.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy cow, I'm going to get, you know, minus 15%. I'm going to get $1,700. It's like, you know, hot dog. Every day I'd see it click up 100. And I joked to my wife and daughter, I'd say, oh, dinner tonight is paid for. You know, we just inch up another 100, another 100. The auction is Saturday and Sunday, although there's a pre-auction. Again, I don't understand that. The auction begins, and on the day before, it gets up to like 4,500. All you have to do is have 2 people that want it. There was a bidding war. In the last 2 hours, it went from 8,500 to 25,000.
So you got 25. That means the bidder paid 30, right?
Correct.
Wow. So that was a lot closer to Derek's vision for it than the 8,000 vision that Heritage had for it, huh?
Yeah. You know, it's a story I never get tired of telling.
Awesome.
And the beauty is, the flag I sold, the story I still have, and the money.
That's right. Well, listen, thanks again, Alan. This has been a blast. This has got me all stoked for the game today.
Now I'm going to be forced to watch it. You've guilted me into, you know, pursuing my heritage.
Beautiful. I love it.
All right. Thanks for everything. I've enjoyed this.
Oh, me too, pal. Great meeting you.
All right. You as well. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.